Okay, this video is going to be from page 13. It starts in the workbook, and you'll be doing adding and subtracting fractions 1.2.4. Example 1.8, find the lowest common multiple, or LCM for short, for the numbers 3, 8, and 12. The key is we need to find the number that all those divide into without a remainder. Now, if it's smaller numbers, it's pretty simple to find, and we can just kind of use our intuition. Larger numbers, it's a little trickier, so I'll do one like that using prime factorization and break it down for you. Okay, so for this first one, we know 3, 8, and 12 will all divide into, I'm going to write these out as primes just to show you, 24. And if you didn't know that right off the bat, you could look at the product of the distinct primes. So we would have the LCD equal to 3 times the factors for 8, or the primes for 8, 2 times 2 times 2, and then the primes for 12, which I actually have them there already. I have the 3 and then 2 and 2, that makes 12. So I have everything represented there. So when I multiply all these numbers together, I would get an LCD of 24. For the next one, I'm going to have some larger numbers to work with. So I would have 4 equals 2 times 2, 28 equals 4 times 7, but we want to break it down to its string of primes. So 2 times 2 times 7. Then we have lastly 49 equals 7 times 7. And in my LCD, I want to make sure all the numbers are, or LCM, I should say, because we're not working in fractions right now, but they're basically the same thing. So lowest common multiple, I would have 4 represented here by 2 times 2. 28 would be represented 2 times 2 times 7. So that gives me all my factors for 28. That way I'm ensured that 28 will divide into this number. Then I have lastly 7 times 7 for 49. So just make sure you have all your numbers represented. And then multiply them all together. The 2 times 2 times 7 times 7 will give me 196. So that's my lowest common multiple for those 3 numbers. It's very different from the greatest common factor. Next thing we have is finding the LCD of 9 and 12, and then we're going to rewrite these fractions 7/9 and 5/12 using the LCD. I'm going to do these relatively quickly because it is review, but again, just ask me if you want more details. I'm happy to go through that with you. So the LCD for 9 and 12 would be 36. So I'm going to say 7/9 equals how many? 36. So for getting 36, 9 times 4 is what I would do. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 4. So 7 times 4 would be 28. So that's my equivalency, my equivalent fraction. They are the same value. They're just broken up into different partitions. Same thing here for 5/12. And I want to get 36 as my common denominator. You can kind of leave yourself a little space there. 12 times 3 would give me 36. So I also have to do the same exact thing to the numerator. Multiply the 5 times 3, and I would get 15 over 36. Next one here, adding and subtracting fractions with the same denominator. We're just going to add the numerators, keep the denominator the same. You never add or subtract the denominators. They just have to be like to begin with. And then you do want to reduce that as well. So we would get 1/2 as our final answer. And then for part B, we would have 2 plus 4 minus 9 all over 5, which would give us -3/5. And you really want to center that negative with the fraction bar. Okay, so when we add or subtract fractions, we have to check, do they have a like denominator or not? If they don't, we need to adjust for that. So go ahead and see if you can make equivalent fractions with these and try them, and pause the video. I'll go through them though as well. So if you've just tried these on your own, then you can kind of skim through quick just to see what the answers are. Just kind of drag the bar down to speed through, and you'll see what the answers are. So A is 3/4 plus 1/6, so we would end up having 9/12 plus 2/12, and that comes out to be 11/12. For B, I would have common denominator of 30. Do this one a little slower. And so to get that, I had to multiply 15 times 2 to get 30. So 7 times 2, I would get 14 in that numerator, minus 10 times 3 gave me 30 down here, so in the denominator. So 3 times 3 in the numerator would be 9. Go ahead and subtract those, and I actually get 5/30, which reduces to 1/6. Don't forget to reduce. When we're reducing, we're going to divide both the numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor. Kind of reverse of what we're doing with creating the equivalent fractions. We're kind of shrinking them down, where over here we're building them up. So part C, I have 1/6 plus 1/8 plus 1/4. So just go ahead and write your common denominator would be 24 for all of those. I just usually kind of fill those in. And then I think, okay, 6 times 4 gave me 24, so that's what I have to multiply the numerator by. These are all ones in the numerator, so it's pretty nice and easy to do. So plus 3/24 plus 6/24. Then just go ahead and add those all together, and you're going to get 13/24. And we cannot reduce that, so we're done there. Okay, last one, we want to subtract 3 minus 5/6. So there's a couple of different ways you could approach this. You could do it as a vertical method, kind of lining up your columns like you would for a regular subtraction problem. But we have the fractions column and the whole numbers column. So we have 3 and 0/6, so to speak, minus 5/6. We cannot take 5/6 from 0/6, so we're going to go ahead and borrow, and we're going to borrow 6/6. So you just want to write it the form of 1 with the common denominator that you're using, that you have there in the problem already. So 6/6 minus 5/6 is 1/6. Carry down your 2. So that's as a mixed number, which is fine, depending on what your directions are. And as long as the fraction part is simplified, that's good. We could also do it as improper fractions. So we could do it as writing it as 3/1 minus 5/6. And then 3/1 could be written as 18/6 minus 5/6. And then I would have 13/6. And if I converted that to a mixed number, I would have the same answer. I'll just do that quickly over here. 6 into 13, we would have 2 times 6 is 12. Remainder of 1 gives me 2 and 1/6. A little review on that. But the improper fraction is totally fine to have as an answer as long as it's reduced, which this one is. There's no common factors to the numerator or denominator. Okay, so that's it for this section. I'll do the others in a separate video. I try to keep these relatively short. Thanks for watching.